I read the comic, and he's running a Kickstarter and shit, so let me go put you guys on. So what's up, guys? And I'm going to go and draw a comic in the meantime while we talk about this. So let me go ahead and pop you guys on and everything and all that other fun stuff. So I hope everybody's well. Is everybody doing good? Let me see here. And if you want to like look into the Facebook live feed actually, so you can react to people and talk to them about it, I'll also pin up the link up on the comment as well. So let's see here. You might also want to mute it, or else you'll be driven batty. So let me go ahead and pin up his Kickstarter link. It's a really good link, and you're at a pretty healthy number right now. With how many days? Let's see. 21.
Plenty of time. Yeah, plenty. So we're 2/3 funded with plenty of time left.
Yeah. Let's see. 2,678. That's quite nice. That's good.
It's quite nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've had experience with Kickstarters, obviously, before, huh?
Yeah. I'm just sharing this on my Facebook and Geek Girl and so forth. Yeah. I mean, this with Geek Girl. This is the 4th Geek Girl Kickstarter, but. It's got a new art, but also everything that's come before. So if you're new to it, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I've been seeing the IP around for a while. It's sort of interesting because like I've seen her around for a few years, and I wasn't really sure. But then again, I was trying to kind of figure out what the fuck Facebook was about. So do pardon me on that. But I got caught up a little bit because you sent me a sample, and it's actually a very, very different type of superhero comic. Like it follows a certain formula like it usually does, right? But I like the dialogue because it's not lame. Like you can actually kind of get along with the dialogue as well, if that makes sense. You know, it's like, you know how sometimes when you have people that talk and it's weirdly abstracted and it really, that wouldn't be what people, how they would talk, you know? So I like that you do that. Like, this is kind of relatable and stuff. I mean, it's not particularly super deep like you're trying to write fucking War and Peace or some shit, but you are doing the thing, you know.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned before we came live, the heart of it is Ruby Kay, who is Geek Girl, and her BFF Summer. So their relationship, I think, you know, in reviews, it generally gets said that they come across real, and and you care about them, hopefully, and as I say, they're the heart of it. The setup with Geek Girl is she was like an it girl. Part of a mean girl clique, of which Summer is also part, but Summer's nice, whereas most of them are bitches. Anyway, Ruby was a popular hot college girl, used to getting what she wants. She lands these pair of super tech glasses when she overhears the college brainiac talking about them. She does it by her and her mean girlfriend Stacy getting the guy and his friend drunk and beating them again to strip poker. So that's the where she's coming from, but from there she develops and goes from this fairly superficial girl used to getting what she wants to do, something worthy, helping others with her powers. And Summer is to some degree the driving force behind that. Summer's a fashion student, she makes the costume for her. Summer's all kind of into superheroes, which Ruby is not particularly aware of. So again, she's integral to it.
That's really good, because the thing is that what I like about it is that it's like, it kind of makes me think, and I know like this might not be completely an actual correlation, but I think of like what was it? The one with, I just totally my brain farted. Hey Rose, what's up? And hey Lawrence, hey Jeff, hey Jane. I'm thinking of something blonde. Is the one with Reese Witherspoon? She goes to Harvard from LA.
No, I know what you're on about.
Yeah. Yeah, she says nice hat, Roses from New York, by the way.
Thank you, Rose.
Yeah, Yankees, I guess, or some shit.
I see what you're saying there, Rose.
I trying to remember. It was like Blonde something, or it was something.
Not Blonde Ambition.
Blonde Ambition, yeah.
Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde, that's it. Legally Blonde. Yeah, and the thing is that she could, and it's kind of one of those things like that transformative thing, where, I mean, even though she's not a bitch, she's a popular girl, actually, and it kind of goes against our our thoughts of like popular girls, like they're supposed to be bitchy and cunty and mean and exclusive. And Ella's actually like really nice and sweet, and everybody's like really bubbly, even though they're slightly superficial, but they're not bad. They're not bad people. They just are used to living a very existence. And then she goes to Harvard, and the smart people and the geeky people are assholes to her. Like at first they're like, fuck you, we don't like you. But then they realize, oh, she's actually a genuine person. And then she actually ends up being smarter than the boyfriend that she followed. That's the thing. Because she's like going, he says, you got into Harvard? She's like, yeah, it was hard. Like she figures out that she never thought she was dumb. She was just never aware of how intelligent she was. And now it's like she's actually sharp as a wit, sharp as a knife compared to that, compared to the other people that go to Harvard and we're all studious and shit. But she never really loses being a good person. She just kind of changes to that, to amalgamate it to be more sharper. I mean, she uses her life experience, which anybody would say is frivolous and stupid, and it becomes that. And how I think it kind of translates into Geek Girl is that even though she's kind of a bitch compared to Elle, but she kind of changes into that and kind of uses that skeleton to kind of be a better person, it seems like, which is interesting.
I wouldn't say that she's a bitch, but she's part of a mean girl clique. Yeah. So she's, as I say, she's used to getting what she wants, but with the superpowers, she is helping other people, and you see the change in her. I mean, in the new arc that starts in issue 5, she's been offered the chance to become part of a superhero team, and she's like cringing when she's relaying her. Everyone that's joining does like a little bit to camera video, and she's cringing when she's relaying how she got her powers, because it's not the most noble of origins. So yeah, she's grown, she grows.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. Like, she's not completely a bad person, but she's kind of, and it's weird because I think when in these comics, like in comics in general, when you're having young people, like 20 something, I don't know how old you are, but I'm definitely not 20 anymore, but I can relate to that because like, yeah, like when you're 20, you're kind of superficial. You kind of have an idea how the world is, how it's going to be. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. You just kind of have a limited view of the world. But as you get older and through experience, you realize, oh, the world is very different from what I was told in idealism to even absolute pessimism. So it's interesting how you kind of find your own shape of the world and you kind of grow. And I guess that's what they call maturity in a way. So there you go. And some people don't get it, and they still want to like go to simulacrums of what the world is compared to what they realize what the world really is. And it doesn't mean you totally destroy everything that you are. It's just like, let's say falling in love. Oh, we think it's all happy and lovey-dovey, and it's like, no, actually love when you get older, it's actually dealing with the other person's shit to a point, It's like, and they have to deal with your shit to a point, and you're like, okay, well, at the end of the day, does it work out? You're like, okay, fine. You just do that, And, Quentin's going, demon bitch, demon bitch, demon bitch. I have people that are just like on here. Like Quentin's from the Netherlands, so he always asks me about my cats and shit and everything. So what up, y'all? He's a very nice guy and everything. So, but yeah.
Well, we should talk a bit about Demon Bitch, because this is I've shared this, so it's going out in the Geek Girl group. So there'll be people like myself when I backed it that are not familiar with Demon Bitch. So do you want to talk a bit about what Demon Bitch is all about?
Well, okay, Demon Bitch. Really, it's kind of funny how it started. It was like, moved to LA, and people are like, oh, yeah, we know how this is going to start. So the long and short of it is that I did a book called Personal Monsters, because when you move to a new city, you're trying to figure it out. I think you're from London, so you kind of have an idea, like moving to being in a big city or whatever. I don't know if you moved to London or if you lived there all your life. So
I moved to a smaller city, Sheffield.
Oh, Sheffield, okay. So the thing is that I moved to LA. I'm from Northern California, so that's different than Southern California. And California is really huge. So put it in context for people that don't know. And what ended up happening was that I went to California. I went to LA, just found my way down there. And I met people, and you meet people in a new city, and you find out who's a good friend of yours and who's not. However, some people were really assholes to me, so even though I cut it off and I didn't talk to them anymore, I was still pissed off at what they did. So one day I was just told by other people, you should just get over it, you should just stuff it down, you shouldn't blah, blah, blah. And, after a point, I was like, no. So I sat down and I drew the fucking ugliest shit I possibly could, right? and wrote the meanest shit I possibly could, and that came Personal Monsters. And that actually started helping people. Like, I've had people start crying when they read this because they're just like, fuck, I feel the same. And I'm like,
Wow.
are you kidding me? What? And they've told me, and it's like, it makes me realize how weird when we were talking about simulacrums when we're younger to older, right? Like, one guy, he was really sweet. He was dressed as Finn. This was San Diego Comic Con. And he said, hey, can you draw me the Get Over It monster? I'm like, well, why? Can I ask? And he said, because I used to have childhood leukemia, and I go in for health tests to make sure it's reoccurred. And my friends just tell me to get over it and not worry. And I'm like, I just looked at him and said, I'm sorry, your friends are assholes. I said, first of all, you're a kid. Okay, that's trauma that you have to get past, and that's not easy. Okay, facing you will die. You have a disease that can kill you. And then you have to go for screenings later. I mean, I think he was in his early 20s when I talked to him.
Yeah.
I said, you have to do this for a number of years. Your friends are dicks. Like, of course you're going to be nervous because it's a thing. I mean, at this time, I did not have my pancreatic tumor, and that's another story. We'll get into that. But at that time, I was just like, I couldn't imagine what having cancer was. But it's like this thing. Your body betrays you on a certain cellular level. Like, how are you going to deal with that? So they went ahead. So I said, let me draw the Get Over monster, but I'm going to do it in a different way. So it was more of like the Get Over It, like the asshole that tells you, oh, just get over it. Like if your mom dies and it's like 3 weeks and you're upset. And then, because, you're grieving, right? And then they say, well, you should be over it by now. It's like, fuck you, It's like, you don't tell me to get over shit. So what Demon Bitch started off was like one of those groups of friends. I knew a few girls. Hey, Steven, how's it going? A few girls that I used to know. And unfortunately, in the girl world, you will go through, and I'm sure it's like the same in the dude world, but I'm talking about girls, that girls just are awful to each other sometimes. Not all the time. I have some really great girlfriends now, but they will backstab and mind fuck you like nothing. It sucks. And they'll do it in a way that you can't easily describe it, but you know it when you see it. So this one girl, this one person that inspired Demon Bitch, or a series of them, the whole lot. This person at first seemed really sweet, and then would turn mean as a snake, just flip. And then, like, because I couldn't give her a ride one time, she threw a fit and screamed at me, and then blocked me and cut me off, and then tried to talk shit about me. And at this time, like, she was friends with some of my friends who promptly unfriended her, who basically, when she said, well, tried to talk shit about me in a very passive aggressive way. And some of my friends just messaged her and said, I've known Christy for a while, and I'm not really okay that you did that. And they just unfriended her. But the thing is that, but she's gone out of her way to fuck people out of rent, accuse people of sexual harassment, and it's proven that she lied about it. Like, this is not just, oh, I don't like her. This is actually, she's been proven to that. And then she did, hey, Yuki Dog Zombie, how's it going? I'm using a main chatter just to talk to you, but I do acknowledge you, and thank you for showing up. So she did that. She's lied about being pregnant to move in, get free rent from a boyfriend, and promptly try to cheat. Yeah, she's a fucking walking disaster. So one of the things she says is that she has Crohn's disease online. But in reality, what it was is that we knew mutual people, and one of the mutual people knew her, like saw her a lot, and she actually did cocaine for 30 days straight along with Jack Daniels. And somehow, understandably, ended up in the emergency room. I did not know how this bitch did not die. And then she would go online and say she had Crohn's disease. I did do my research. You don't get Crohn's disease that way, But that made me angry because I was like going, you have people that have IBS and Crohn's, that have diseases and afflictions that are not easily distinguishable because they have such a generalized thing. And then you're going online saying, oh, I had to have 2 bowel resections. Like, where are your laparoscopic scars, you fucking bitch? You barely wear anything. Like, stuff like that. So, Demon Bitch was created. And it just was created just because I was mad. And I just drew, like, this person fancied themselves as an Instagram influencer model. And all she did was just take froggy 3/4 pictures, like, all the time. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I just went ahead and just drew the most sausagiest, grossest body ever. Just somebody that looked like they would smell like sour milk if you walked by them. And then, like, a lot of the thoughtless shit I have actually heard other women like her say. Like, You know, I would be cute. It's like going, so how would you be the new face of modeling? You know how much cuter I would be if I had more money? You don't even know. Why would you say it? But it's shit, like, why would you say that? But they say that, you know? It's like somebody's so wrapped up in their own head about how great they are. It's like, it's wonderful. Rose just said she has a brain disease. But yeah, so it's like making fun of women that were mean to me and were terrible to me. So it's like just demon bitch, but it's like this demon bitch kind of gives people permission to hate somebody. And you might think, oh, well, that would make people more hateful. It's like, no, sometimes people do really hateful shit to you. And you have to admit to yourself, you know, I'm really, really angry about that. Oh, that's okay, Yuki Dog Zombie. Please feel free to lurk. Just read it and stuff. You're welcome to interject. But it's like, it's kind of like people feel like they need this absolution, like, for a person that's done horrible things. And we've been taught, don't be hateful, don't hate, don't hate, don't hate. Well, you know what? We accept the fact we hate somebody, especially if somebody that's been abusive to us and terrible and who's been mean or caused us pain. I think in order to forgive is that you just go and say, okay, I hate this person. I hate them for what they did. I hate them. I don't wish anything good for them. I'm upset about it. You know, just be honest with yourself of how you feel. That doesn't mean you go to their house and fucking shoot them or anything like that. It just, no. But admit to yourself how you really feel. And I have noticed that one time, the times that people have come up to me and said, you know what, you're right, I hate this fucking bitch. And guess what? Once they do that, they can forgive them. Because they let it out. They just said, you know, I hate this person. They're an asshole. They did horrible things to me. And you'd think that it would make people wallow in it, but it doesn't. It makes them laugh at it. And then they go like, okay, I'm fine now, you know? And that's all people need to do. And what I mean by forgiving is not necessarily letting that person back in. It's just more of like, I can let it go because I'm not stuffing it down and letting it fester.
Yeah. You're not trying to be okay with it. You're accepting that you're not okay with it.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing. And I think nowadays, like, I'm kind of annoyed with all the quote-unquote PC things of, like, we need to be more empathetic, we need to hear each other, we need to do this. But I've noticed people are more assholes to each other. Like, they basically do the cancel thing, they do this, they do that, it's like, okay, why don't you just admit to yourself you fucking hate this person instead of stuffing it down and projecting it onto other people? Like, okay, if you hate this politician or you hate this celebrity or whatever, fine. But at the end of the day, they don't know you, you don't know them. So there's not really a connection. You know, I'm not saying you don't have a right to not like people who you don't like, just that. But usually, and because I've gone through this too, usually it's because somebody fucking that was not a politician or celebrity, but somebody personal to me had hurt me a lot. So it's like, okay, face up to the fact that particular person hurt you. And you're mad about it. Or you feel whatever you feel about it. And then it's, you know, like we always throw down, you got to let it go when you got to go. And, you know, what is it? You got to let it go. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to, whatever trite things people say. We don't really know what that means. And sometimes to let it go is just to kind of look at it and face it. Okay, this exists. I own it. I hate this person because of A, B, and C. I hate them because they're a piece of shit. I don't wish them good things. I wish they would fall off a cliff and die, personally. But but that's how you own up to it. Like, with breakups or whatever, you have to own up to the fact you're upset about it. And it's like, and I think the reason how you can hang on to it unhealthily, at least when I've seen it, is when they say, well, you shouldn't care. After 2 weeks, you shouldn't care. It's like, well, if it still hurts you, obviously you care. Just own up to it.
You can't be told not to, you can't be told how to feel.
Yeah. And I think we have a problem with that. At least here where I am. I mean, I can say all over the world because I haven't been all over the world and lived everywhere. I mean, I've traveled to Eastern Europe. I've been to England. I've been to Italy and Greece. I've been to Asia. I've been to Korea and Japan. You know, I've been to those places. But, I mean, I've been also in different parts of the United States. But, you know, I don't live everywhere else. But I can say for at least where I am at and what I observe from my standpoint is we're kind of assholes to each other because we don't really go out of our way to really give significance to what's important to us. But we seem to want to give significance to the things like the environment. And I'm not saying those things aren't important, but I think it's done in a more healthy sense if you just go and like own up for your own shit, and that way you can see with better eyes to see a solution. I mean, I'm not saying the environment is important. I'm not saying politics is important. I'm not saying, but before you take care of things on the outside, take care of yourself first. And how you do that is just own up to what you really feel. And I kind of had a near-death experience. I had it on Facebook, but I don't know if you saw it. I mean, as I said, it's just, I told a lot of people, but I don't remember everybody that I told or anything. But I had a pancreatic tumor removed when I was last September. And going through that process was pretty fucked up because, you know, you hear anything about your pancreas, it's a death sentence. That's great, right? I literally almost thought it was fucking weirdly fucked up yet funny that I said, am I going to die like Patrick Swayze? Because he died famously of pancreatic cancer. But when you're told, like, when they do an ultrasound and a CAT scan of you having a 6-inch tumor, and it's pretty big, it's like this big, and they're worried that it might be cancerous, and you have no idea other than you have a tumor in your pancreas, it's a death sentence, you're like, holy shit. And even then, like, I went through a period where I was like, fuck, if I die, I'm going to be alone. And it's not that I don't have friends and family. I'm not saying that. That I was covered well in. But just going through the physical process of dying was kind of fucked to think about. And it was, I don't know if it, I just kind of went through it. I don't want to even say, I had this meta thought about it. No, I just went through it. That went through my mind. I had to go through that. And literally, like, I had to go and take a step back and say, look, I am going to be, it's like right now I don't have cancer. And it wasn't I was denying the facts. It was just, I don't have cancer. At this moment, I don't. I don't have cancer because I'm not, they're not sure, you know. So the absolute is at this moment, I don't. Because they were going to take a biopsy and everything. I was going to be transported to another hospital right after. I did not leave the hospital. Like, I didn't leave out of my own power or anything. You get what I mean? I, like, didn't go home and pretend it wasn't there. Because they were going to go in and do all the things since it was so egregious. And I will say my insurance worked really well. And even my sister, because we have a... hey, Kevin. We have a surgeon in the family. My sister's husband's brother. He's an oncologist. And he even said, like, literally a few minutes after I came to that conclusion, my sister messaged me. Because I took a picture of, like, what they thought was in my pancreas and sent it to her. And she said, well, he says, don't worry until after the biopsy results. I'm like, okay. And I don't know, maybe that was a turning point for things for me, because if I'd worried about it, and I know I would have been normal to me, but I chose to kind of take myself off the ledge and say, okay, look, right now I don't have it. So let's go with that. I'm going to know for sure in X amount of days. We're going to find out. So in the subsequent days, it got more encouraging. Like, they tested tumor markers in my blood. Nothing cancerous. They did a needle biopsy and they drained the cyst because it was a cystic mass. They drained the fluid, no cancer. So that was increased. So, because the type of, for any pancreatic tumor, they have to make sure it's not cancer, and then they will operate. The reason why is that if it's spread, it's like, there's no point to a point. Yeah. So it got to the point of the day of surgery, and I found out they cut you a little bit, and they look inside, and if it's spread, they close you up.
Right.
But for me, they opened it up. It was as it was looking like in the tests and everything. Took it out, and they rewired me. So how the head of the pancreas is that it's the blood vessels, and a lot of the tumors will occur in the head of the pancreas, is that a lot of the blood vessels were attached to parts of the stomach, the pylorus valve, the bottom part, and the duodenum that leads into the small intestine. They had to remove those, otherwise my stomach, everything would have gone necrotic. So they had to take that whole section out. They had to go and stick my pancreas at the end of the fucking little small intestine. They had to stick my stomach directly into my small intestine. They had to remove my gallbladder. Nothing was wrong with my gallbladder, but they had to remove it and wire it directly into my small intestine. I will tell you, that is the weirdest fucking feeling ever. When you wake up and you're just like going through it and you feel like somebody pulled my fucking bowels up and shit. Like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah. You know? It was the weirdest feeling, and it's just, I'm still kind of dealing with it. It's weird because it's like how you digest, how you eat. It will be changed. I mean, I am not restricted to what I can eat. It's just that I will have to eat smaller but there's some
Yeah.
foods I can eat a lot of. So, and it's weird because, like when you eat something heavy, it sits different than light, but it's like so much more weirder on different levels that you would ever know if you ever had
Yeah.
that. So, after the whole tumor thing and it was taken out, they literally, after they do that, they go kick your ass out of bed after the second day because you have to walk to wake up your bowels, the bowel system, and under that, they don't want your lungs to collect fluid.
Yeah.
So you get pneumonia. So I had to like walk around the nurse's station with these tubes like sewn into me and shit, and I'm like, fuck this shit so much. So, but I mean, at the beginning, like I just saw like kind of like a CAT scan. It literally looked like my pancreas threw up. And I was like going, okay, I have to just draw this shit. So I drew this pancreas with tits on it and put it on my Instagram. And some of my friends were like, I was so waiting for this, But yeah, but I mean, it was weird because like, so when we got the reports back, so at the end of the week, I was supposed to be discharged. They did tell me, hey, so we're going to find out if it's cancerous or not, because that's the final say. They take the fucker out and everything.
Yeah.
So literally my doctor looked at the screen and he was like, it's a growth? What? And I'm not an oncologist, so I don't know the definition of a tumor, right?
Yeah.
So he called the pathologist and they said, it's a growth. What it is, I had that 1% of tumor where it grows for a number of years, like 10 years. And I know that the surgeon initially told me that when I came in, I was admitted, and he looked at the CAT scan because it was a different hospital, they had to do another. And he looked at that, he said, yeah, it's like 10 more, you need to get this out now, because in 10 more years, you will have stage 3. Because he told me about a woman that let it sit. And the reason how I went into the hospital in the first place is I felt like shit. I thought I had a kidney infection. I was sleeping all the time. I was dragging. I was exhausted. Like, even if I would try to work out, I just literally had no drive to it. And it wasn't like I was lazy. I just couldn't do it. It was just nothing. And I was achy, like all the parts I'd ever injured, because I've been in a car accident where I've had whiplash on my lower back. I've had like my arch in my foot because I broke my right ankle and everything. So everything was hurting, and I thought, oh, this is just getting older. When really it was the tumor pressing up against my spinal cord. I think that because it was so big. But he said that chances are you'll be diabetic. And I'm like, well, fuck, that sucks, And yeah, I did cry because it was like, what the fuck? First of all, I'm told that I have a 6-inch mass in my pancreas. So I'm thinking I'm going to die at one point. And then that other shit. So they took it out. But so after all that, I didn't end up having diabetes, by the way. I'm fine. Literally the second or third day, my blood sugar went back to normal. And they were like, okay, we don't need to inject, insulin into you anymore. So there was no sense. So I'm actually pretty much 100% healthy. It does feel weird because my abdomen feels like my guts have been poked around. It gets a little bit less per day, but like I get soreness because there's an incision. But it's kind of weird. And so so going back to this tumor, it only affects Asian and Black women. It's very slow growing. It's actually, I guess, under the definition benign, but it will break off and become cancerous past a certain point. So I had a ticking time bomb. So they took it out. It's fine. Everything's good. I'm healthy now. I'm due to go to the oncologist on the 5th in May to get tested and to make sure that everything is kosher. But literally, I've been in contact with my oncologist. Like at first, he said, "Oh, you have stage 3 pancreatic cancer. Like you should be in here right away." Because I was going to a con. I'd been cleared to go to a con that weekend. So where are you going to a convention? You should go here. And I'm like, no. I had the Whipple. The operation is called the Whipple procedure. And apparently every medical personnel, even though they're not into that, or they're not a specialist, a GI tract specialist, they go like, Jesus Christ. So, I said, no, I had the Whipple procedure. I'm okay. And he said, oh, okay. But when I did the initial consultation, my, I guess, PET or MET numbers, yeah, Lauren says fucking racist tumor. We were laughing. I said, oh, it's a racist tumor then. I made a joke like that. It hates women too. So, but he said essentially, like, every so often he would send me data, like, they don't really study this tumor anymore, because it pretty much, when you take it out, it doesn't do anything anymore. It's done. Like,
Right.
So I'm in the high 90s of it never reoccurring. I don't get bad stuff or anything. So it's very good. I mean, even he had least concern. Like, I guess the PET numbers, if you have leukemia or breast cancer or any other cancer, it would be 100% cell rate division. Mine was less than 1%. So it's gone. It's great. You know, it's awesome. Although sometimes digesting shit is a bitch and it pisses me off. But, you know, I mean, it's a healing process. Like, I read up because I have to take some pancreatic enzymes, and that will probably, they could say it could take a few years to the rest of my life. So I'm aiming for never to take those ever again. I mean, for now I'm taking them because technically, even though they cleared me to do shit and I can do cons and this and that, I mean, it's less than a year. I'm still feeling it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you kind of have to kind of go with it. That's all. It's like, yeah, Lawrence was like fucking racist too. So, but yeah, he's, but that was it. And I guess it's sort of like, sometimes once in a while I think about it and it's like, yeah, I guess I could have died. Okay. So, I don't know. It changes you, and I don't want to be like, it changes me in this way and everything. But I think it's definitely a shedding. Like, if you're in a near-death experience, you really realize, like, what you should have patience for, and you really realize what you should not have patience for.
Right.
You know, you're kind of on a different level. And even some of my friends said, well, you almost died when you think about it. And I'm like, because, like, when the surgeon to me at the time was like going, yeah, it's less than 1% mortality rate. I'm like, what? And then later on after my surgery, it didn't occur to me. This is the weird thing. It didn't occur to me because I was just so focused on just getting the fucker out and being healthy. But after my surgery, I looked it up. And apparently in the 80s, if they did this procedure, there was a 25% chance that you would have died in the operating table.
Right.
And then now it's like, and this was developed by, it's called Koch-Whipple, I think. And there was an Austrian guy named, I think, Frederick Koch. I look up everything. Going deep with Demon Bitch. I got a vote later. All right, later on, Lawrence. But he developed this. And then Whipple, Homestead Whipple, I think that was his name. It was a weird name. American dude went and refined it, and now it's gotten refinement still then. And it was even weirder because it just felt like if this had to happen, all the right people lined up. Like, my fucking surgeon did it in 3 hours. I heard it could take up to 8 to 10 to do this. And he's very good at it. And so I asked him later on, because I do follow-ups with him. I say to him, well, how did you get into this? And he said, I was my last 6 months of residency, I did this. And this, I would help the surgeon, and I got really good at it. So that sometimes the head surgeon wouldn't show up, and I would just do it. So this motherfucker just does this shit like nothing.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's good, you know. And it was weird because like this whole thing with the Kickstarter, my Kickstarter. I know we're talking about yours, but with my Kickstarter, I was kind of like, you know, I was gonna do one anyway in January, but I didn't know how much my endurance would be, because when you recover, I don't know if you've recovered from surgery that's pretty major, but it does this weird thing. Like, you go through a rest period where you're just exhausted even waking up for about a month and a half. Then you get better per day. Even walking across the street, I tried it once, and I was like, when I came back, I'm like, holy fuck, what the hell, you know? But it's weird because as you go, for the most part, you're normal. But once in a while, you'll just get kind of like, you just get really tired. Like, all of a sudden you get really fatigued and sore for no reason. And you really got to listen to that. And, you know, that's just what you have to do. So when I did the Kickstarter, I said, okay, I'm going to go do a book. And maybe some prints. But I'm not going to do too much because I know so far how my endurance is going. I'm pretty good. But I know, because I did a successful Kickstarter the year prior, that last year, earlier, and I knew how tiring that was. I said, okay, let me just do these two things. But not only was it a victory because it was like kind of like the comeback kid type thing, but it was also that I exceeded 2 stretch goals, and then I hit the $5,000 mark, of which kind of hung over my head because the very first Kickstarter I did didn't fund.
Right.
So I made it all my bitch, and I just did it all, and I'm like, but it was interesting. I wasn't, it was kind of weird. I mean, I look back on it, and it's like I was too busy doing it. I don't think, you're an epic or something. I didn't pat myself on the back all the time. It was more of, kind of doing long distance running. Okay, today, like,
Yeah.
how Kickstarters, this, like every day, it's kind of like a marathon. It's like, okay, this
Yeah.
is a time where I push forward. Okay, I'm going to go hang back a little, be ready, push forward, hang back,
Yeah.
push forward, hang. And that's every day for X amount of time. And it's exhausting. And like, even now, I'm like still a little brain fried from from this Kickstarter, even though it's like been 2 weeks. But yet people are going, you're still sharp, you're still this. And it's like, for me, I feel like, yeah, okay. Like, I'll feel like really like very, very, what is it? Very, 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 what is it?
Energized?
Not energized. It's weird. It's like sometimes I'll like feel like just fatigued for the whole day, like on certain levels. Or during the day, I'll just be like, fuck, I gotta just nap. And I'll just sleep,
Yeah.
But it's weird because it's like, on one hand, my surgeon's going, oh my God, you're like Superwoman, you can do anything. Because apparently he's told me he's never had a patient that did as well as I have.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And then they go back to that, and yeah. So there we go with my little journey towards surgery and everything. It's kind of crazy there. So it's kind of a weird way of parsing your energy too. So I don't want to be like, hey, it's all about me and my fucking tumor, but there you go. But there you go. So what's your background?
Well, my background, as I said, from London. I moved to Sheffield when, going back a bit now, before the internet was what it was, or what it is. It was difficult to get into comics. Basically, you could send stuff off through the mail. You could go to cons to show stuff around. That was about it. And now with the internet, it's a lot easier to make connections. So I moved to Sheffield to do a creative writing for film and TV MA, but I'm much more bothered about comics. And then it's been about, I want to say about 12 years now I've been getting stuff published in comics. So that is, I absolutely would like my comics to be turned into film and TV, but the comics is my focus. That's what I love doing. So thankfully with Geek Girl, it's been going a while now. Been picked up by publisher Marcosia, and really into it. Oh, and that was the thing as well, because this is the fourth Kickstarter. I've had a sort of an aim with each one. The aim with the second one, I think it was the second one, was to get the audience big enough. Not just through Kickstarter. We've got the Geek Girl Facebook group, and all social media and everything. I've been there to put it up.
You like fucking set up like a machine, dude.
Sorry?
You guys got set up like a machine, dude.
But specifically the Kickstarter, the aim was to get it so I can be like, right, there is enough audience here now that I can justify this going ongoing, which we did. So we are. And then we've got the new direction, which started in issue 5, which is where Ribby's becoming part of this weird super team. And the thing with the whole ongoing thing is I've had a lot of ideas. Grant Morrison's run on Doom Patrol is a big, I don't know if you've read it, or I've seen the TV series of Doom Patrol, because that's very much based around it. And that's my biggest influence. I've had all these weird concepts and characters and ideas that I needed an ongoing series to give them the oxygen, to Carbraccini, voodoo junkie hit woman, being another character, the ex-crack or turned supernatural gun for hire. She's appeared in anthologies. And there is a miniseries in the works, but I wanted to bring her into the Geek Girl universe, which she is in this new arc, which is in Tyson Case, which is issue 6 and 7. She comes into it, and she's going to have a big part to play. So I want to get it to the point where we can justify it going ongoing, and then I can really do what I want with it, which I am doing, and I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I was laughing about the ex-crack whore and shit, because I was just like, it's kind of funny. There's this trend now where I think with a lot of superheroes, at least the ones that I like, they come from shit, like there's somebody you would not expect to be a superhero. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm not in here, but just somebody that is not in the energy space to do anything above like trying to survive themselves and get the next hit. Probably the ultimate level and a certain level of narcissism in a way, I know that sounds weird, but like when you look at the behaviors of drug addicts, and I've had friends that were drug addicts, so I'm not trying to say, oh, all drug addicts are bad, but like the thing that they're focused on is like me and that hit, me and that hit, me and that hit, me and that hit. And that is not the energy space, and I know that sounds weird, but it's like not in that space to do anything altruistic for anybody else. You're thinking of yourself on such a basic, scroungy level, and it's just laughing like crack whore, and then now you're this superhero. It's like, that's a big jump. And
well, I mean, Carbra isn't a superhero. She's basically, the way it's worked with her is she was a junkie. As a way to fight back against her pimp / boyfriend, she discovered voodoo, and she's come up with a bastardized version of it. And the voodoo junkie hitwoman is she's now a voodoo junkie. So she's switched one addiction for another. But she's not a superhero. She's, for hire. She's think a little bit like Deadpool, but like a lot less cartoony, but still crazy as well.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I'm kind of thinking that's at least better than a crack whore. And even then, Deadpool is actually, he does actually noble things, even though he's kind of a jackass, like he actually kind of has a decent heart. So you're just like, so it's kind of weird. So. Hey Derek, what's up? But yeah, it's like funny because so guys, like, support his Kickstarter. I pinned up the link here. I've also pinned it up in YouTube and all that. So just as a heads up, let me actually see if there's anybody there. But let me check the thing, because sometimes what's nice is that you probably found out in Kickstarters, like, even if like you're doing an interview or something right then and there, it may not bump up your numbers all the time, all the way. But weirdly, because like I noticed this at Twitch LA, like when I went to the Twitch LA event, even though I passed out the Kickstarter stuff and everything all the time, I noticed that people, hey Steven, how's it going? So, but I noticed that the fact that I was there, I got $500 in pledges.
Right.
So you just keep putting it out there. You don't know what's going to come back. It's weird.
Yeah.
But it works. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that, but it's interesting. Like sometimes, you have direct pledges and stuff and everything, but but yeah, I'm glad that but yeah, so it's like what is it, voodoo what?
Voodoo junkie hitwoman.
That's funny. Is she still a junkie, or she doesn't?
No, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. She's now a voodoo junkie. So she switched her drug addiction to this bastardized version of voodoo that she's kind of forged herself. Which again, there's the Grant Morrison influence in the weirdness, because she can use, one of the things she can do is she can use it to access this dimension called the infinite, which is basically she can use as a shortcut. So if she's been hired to find someone, she can use this as a shortcut to get to them, basically using her voodoo magic. But it's described as Limbo's crazy attic locked away in the cupboard, so it's not supposed to be used and abused the way Carbra does. So the ruler of it, the Rook, throws all kinds of shit at her to try and dissuade her from using it, and that's part of the reason why she's as fucked up as she is, because for example, he's had someone, it's his dimension, he can control things. There's a character called Mr. Mashup who has a vessel inside him. He can tap into people's brains, into people's minds, transform this vessel into a clone of them. So though she effectively, well, not effectively, though she did kill her ex-boyfriend when he was attacking her, the Mr. Mashup in this dimension can make this vessel of his appear as this, her ex-boyfriend / pimp. So that brings that horror back to her. So that's like a very not warm welcome.
That kind of like makes you think of trauma, like when you've been through fucked up shit like that. It's almost like it's real again, like you're getting stabbed all over again. That's how I've experienced it. Yeah. So this is a mirage, or he actually brings the ex-boyfriend back.
Well, he can, as I say, he can sort of make a clone of them, as it were. So it's a superficial thing. It's brittle. This clone can be like shattered, but he taps into her mind. So basically, the way she perceived her boyfriend, he can transfer into this clone. So it seems very real to her.
Mm-hmm. So I see what you mean. On that. That's it's pretty good. So when is that mixing in, or when is that happening, or has that already happened with Voodoo Junkie Girl and Geek Girl?
So basically, what's been going on in the new arc? There's a subplot where there's a guy that's into the occult and he's trying to contact someone.
Like the guy in the sample you gave me.
Yes, okay. Yeah. He's basically something's happened to him. He gets shot in issue 5, but he uses his occult magic powers to get the bullet out and recover. But then he's trying to track the person that has shot him and taken all his money, and through contacting this ghostly figure in his mirror, which it seems like he's had some sort of relationship with in the past, she puts him onto Carboncini. So Carboncini will be coming into it in issue 7, and her opening scene is one of the favourite things I've written with it. Her just scenery chewing, going into a supermarket, smoking a cigarette the entire time she's in there, and going in to buy some tampons, and just giving the teller a load of shit, and it's a nice introduction to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool. That's good. I actually kind of like around here in LA, there's like a lot of, I don't want to make it out like it's Brazil or something or anything, but it's like there's a lot of botanicas out here. So a lot of the Santeria and then the voodoo kind of mix in with each other. And then you have a lot of people that are into like witchery and the occult here. So it's kind of kind of interesting. Actually, I have a website to give you because it's funny because there's actually a warehouse full of this shit.
Right.
And it's like I live near it. I just drive by and I just go there, and hang out and like do whatever. But it's just funny how California is. I don't know if they have stores like that where you're at in England. Probably not.
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh.
I'm sure they do, but not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, none of that you're aware of. I know there's like a lot of European paganism up there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's it. But yeah, so people are just like, how's the watch party going right there? Anybody asking any hardcore questions and all that?
I don't know because I'm just looking at you on Skype. So if I'm getting any questions, because when I went on Facebook at the same time, I was getting the sound coming up twice. So if anyone's asking me anything in the Geek Out group, I'll answer your questions after we're done.
All right, let me look at the fucking watch party here. Who the hell? Oh my god, is this weird catfish? I'm looking on Facebook, I'm trying to find the watch party you put up, and there's a like muscly motherfucker right there, and he's one of those weird guys that likes everything, and you're like, you're a fake profile, aren't you? I've had the most funniest time. Like there was this one time this guy like said, I want to go and like marry you. I have this like this is the normal catfishing is like, okay, I'm a U.S. military guy, but yet I went to school in Montana, and it was like, but yet I'm in Afghanistan, yet I'm doing this, and I was educated in Oxford. I'm like, what? They're all over the place. And so it's like he like did a copy paste, but he did both letters. Yeah. But you know how Facebook in a comment will only cut off at a certain point? Yeah. So it's like he copy pasted that, and I said, oh, really? I said, well, thank you very much. Actually, I'm very flattered. Why don't you tell me more? He said, well, I can DM you. I said, no, you should say here so people can understand your 5th grade spelling. Because I really need to hear this. And it was on a food post I did. I didn't even like take a picture of myself. I just put a picture of like some food I made or something. So yeah, I like taking the piss out of people sometimes. It's really funny. But yeah, so let me see here. Where's that watch party? This is what I hate about the Facebook mobile, because sometimes it'll say, oh, he's doing the watch party, so I'm trying to find it, the notification, and it's not doing it, and it's annoying.
Well, I'm going to try and bring it up, but if it does the thing where it's doubling the sound up again, I'm going to come straight out of it.
Oh, here, wait, I found it. So, and if it didn't keep you down, nothing will. Well, thank you, Hal Jordan. So Steven Rogers waved and all that other shit. So, yeah. Scallion pancakes. Rose just says, that's so funny. She says, okay, Derek said, I had a job when she was writing my ad. She has to say Botanica, and that scared her off. Yeah, yo, scallion pancake, she said. So, yeah. But that's pretty funny. I'm also drawing a comic real quick for something. I'm just doing a quick little...
Okay, I'm just going to wave back at the people that have waved.
Yeah. If nothing can keep you down, nothing will. I just went ahead and I just beat the shit out of them. I thought I scared you off, Hugh. Derek, she talks to me. What the fuck? Because he said, I'd say Botanica and she'd run off all scared. And it's like, and he said to Rose, I thought I scared you off, Hugh. And I'm like, she talks to me. If you talk to me on a daily basis, I'm pretty sure you're like, okay. Hi, Ernie. How's it going? Fetid Shields' role was awesome. Damn, Quentin, you randomly talk about food. It's so fucking funny. Oh, wait. Plastic and metal. Sorry. So, yeah, I was cooking Chinese food. We make Jewish and Asian jokes all the time. Rose and I. But, yeah. So, what's the weather like over there? It was raining earlier here.
With me, nothing really. It's night here now. Nothing doing. Not warm, not cold. It's fine.
What's cold or warm? Not warm or cold over there. What's the temperature over there?
Well, I've got a t-shirt on, so I'm okay. Basically, there's no heating on and my t-shirt's on, so it's quite alright.
It's subjective because I had a friend from Chicago, so 50, 60 is cold here for us. Okay, Fahrenheit. And it's funny because my friend is coming from Chicago. He came over and he's like wearing a t-shirt. He says, "This is cold," because Chicago is windy, and it's also gets super cold. So we were kind of laughing about that. So that's why I was like, I'm guessing it's probably 50, 60 over there.
I don't think so. I think it's much lower than that.
Much lower. See. We're California. We're kind of weaklings when it comes to cold and inclement weather. We're like that. We're weird like that. It's just like, oh, it's cold. It's 50, 60. I'm like, oh, man. And, like, after the bit about my surgery, it's like, hi, Stephen, Don and Hall. Oh, okay, that's you. It was weird because I dropped 37 pounds, so I didn't have that insulating fat anymore. So I walked outside. I'm like, fuck, why is it so cold? I'm like, oh, wait. It was, like, the weirdest thing. Like, now I know, like, how my mother was like all going like, oh, I'm so cold all the time. She's a petite woman, so I didn't think about it, but now it's like, oh, I'm kind of cold. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Quentin says it's 50 degrees Fahrenheit in Rotterdam. He said he lives in Rotterdam, not Amsterdam, but he lives in the Netherlands. So anyway, guys, have any questions for him or anything? But so what inspired you to come out with Geek Girl?
It wasn't anything specific. Image Comics Shadowline Studios ran a talent search. He wants to create a superhero a while back, and I just came up with 3 ideas for it. And Geek Girl was more of a sort of prototype of what it is now, but something I wanted to stick with and develop. So yeah, just like that. It wasn't like it was just sort of brainstorming ideas for superheroines. And yeah, that's the one that, like, yeah, I really want to do something with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So it's just like, why Maine of all things? That's funny you said Maine, and I'm like going, is there a significance with Maine?
Well, Maine, it was like basically we wanted, I wanted somewhere that, like, it's not going to be like New York, because superheroes exist. When Geek Girl is born, in inverted commas, in Maine they've already got resident superheroes. They've got Neon Girl, the like first lady of superheroism, and Pitbull, the jock superhero. So I wanted somewhere where there was a superhero establishment, but not like a Marvel New York where you cross the street and Spider-Man's swinging by while Iron Man's flying overhead, and so it's still, because basically the initial story arc in the first mini-series was that this big bad lightning storm takes down the superheroes that exist, so Geek Girl is kind of forced to step up. So I wanted something that was sort of a middle ground between like a really small town where there wouldn't be superheroes and a massive town where there's a ton of them, so that this is a sort of middle ground, basically.
So it's like a small town where it's like, okay, there's a reason why they're significant kind of thing. It's like, it's not
Yeah,
like, oh my god, fucking this guy, and oh my god, that guy, and what the fuck is this dude, and everything, you know?
yeah. It's not like commonplace, like as I say in the Marvel universe, Manhattan, where it's there goes Captain America. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I get you on that. So let's see here. 57 and cloudy, raining in the Catskills. So Rose lives in the Catskills in New York. So I'm in LA. What's the weather like here today? Let's see. Just for the hell of it, I just like to see the weather. So yeah. So what'd you do today? 64 and it's raining. See, I got like Steve Jobs doing that shit right there.
Well, it's nice that Steve Jobs on hand.
Yeah, just like, oh yeah, that's where I'm at. Los Angeles showers, so it's like it rained today. It was actually kind of nice because like California doesn't rain that much. We rain a lot in the winter. That's where we get a lot of our water. And what was nice was that when it rained a lot, it wasn't that hot of a summer. And then some people started bitching. They're like, oh, this is terrible. Like, shut up. We don't have any forest fires. We don't have, it's cooler. I don't have to spend a lot of money on fucking cooling. Fuck you, shut up. But yeah, so it's like funny because like, so Rose and I, we talk. So, hey, Rose says, yeah, it's nice. It's warmer. I'm like, how is it warmer? Because it's like my context of warmer. Because I was born in Chicago, but I left when I was 3. So I kind of don't know like what's going on with Chicago so much or something. Like the context, like my parents, like they came from Korea and Korea could get really cold. And they even said, fuck this weather. And they left and moved to California. So we're in Northern California. So I think Northern California is like more, let me see where it's at. I'm trying to see. Stop that. Okay. Yeah, it's sunny over where my parents are at in NorCal. It's 2 degrees higher. So, yeah, so it's kind of like similar in that way. So, but yeah, so that's good. So, it's night. Did you have a good day in the Kickstarting realm?
Yeah. I mean, we had on Sunday we kind of hit the dead zone, and then I did a lot of things. I've added like a bunch of new rewards, so I've been pimping it hard basically, and I've been off. I've got a part-time day job which I've been off to do this, and I'm back at on Thursday. So I'm trying to really go for it. Then I'm going to be back again off for the end of the Kickstarter, but just pimping on. And the thing I'm doing today is Summer has had a go in the Geek Girl costume. Summer being Ruby's BFF, and in the new arc they go to this club which is everyone's outlandishly dressed, and so Ruby wants to go anonymously, so she lets Summer go in the costume, and Summer loves it. So she's going in the costume with the glasses, and the glasses have the chip in them that gives her powers, so she gets to fly. So this is a great time for her. So today I'm doing a big sort of Summer spotlight, in the Geek Girl group there'll be all stuff about Summer posting, and there's this new reward, Total Summer, where you can get like all of Summer's Geek Girl costume-based appearances, and like there's a free print that comes with it with Summer and Shuri out of Black Panther. So that's the focus today. It's the summer day.
Summer day. Yeah, so that's the one thing that because I was just curious about it, because like when I failed my first Kickstarter, it was like I had a job that I had to work during the day, but then like with me, it wasn't like all the time, but it was a part-time day job, same too.
Yeah.
But for me right now, it's like I didn't have a part-time day job. Like this is my job. So it's kind of funny how it's like going and doing the thing. And it's like it does make it easier in a way because like you're not held by somebody. Yeah, like it's weird. And I don't know how anybody would do it with an actual job because that's tough. Because you have to pay attention to your guy.
Last time and this time, I basically using up just about all of my holiday time to do it, because I think the more you do it, the more you come up with ideas as you go along. Whereas if you're coming home after already doing something, you sort of do what you need to do, and then you want to chill out. So if this is your focus, it's much more enjoyable for starters, because it's what where your mind's at, and I say you can get more creative. I mean, the stretch goal, if we get to the point. I'm really happy with what we're going to be doing as a stretch goal. If if we get to this point, it's going to be a free print to anyone that backs any limited edition, and it's starting out with Ruby and Harley Quinn, and then for every stretch goal that gets added, people will be able to vote on what characters they want to see team up, so more characters will get added to this thing, and the art is great. Jason Hare is the cover art, the new cover artist on issues 6 and 7, has done the artwork, and the picture of Harley with Ruby is terrific. So hopefully get to the point where we can introduce that, and then, as I say, people will get to vote, and literally anyone can be drawn into this, and it's a free print, so we're not like selling it, so we don't have to worry about licensing. If you back the limited edition, then you'll get this. If we get to that point, we've got to hit the goal before we start introducing stretch goals.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, I just was curious about it because, like, is the artist, is he based in America, or where's he based out of? Here in England, or?
The main artist, Carlos, that does the interiors, is in Colombia.
Okay.
We've got a global team, like Jason, as I say, is new and doing the covers, and the print, I believe, is in America. He is in America, yeah. Chung Lin, the colorist, is in China. Paul the letterer is in Scotland, so it's an international network.
Yeah. Now, do you actually go to a lot of conventions to show Geek Girl, or is it just mostly like online from your home or anything like that?
I used to do more conventions before I started Kickstarter, and Kickstarter I find is the most effective way to go. And another problem I have with conventions is there's so many now. Like, it's not that unusual to have one running on a Saturday and another one running on the Sunday, so it becomes very hit and miss. And also, I'm not a morning person, so the idea of getting up and go, when you don't know how it's going to be, a lot of them are fairly new, and you get ones where you go and, like, I went to one, and, like, when the doors opened, like, one person came through or something, which I abandoned this quite early on. But like, the prospect of, I always don't get out of bed before 10:30 in the morning, so obviously you can't rock up at a convention like that. So the idea of doing it to something that is potentially just going to drag is not my favourite thing. But I do conventions, but where I've been at recently, as I say, more focused on the Kickstarter, because I find that's the best way to get it out there, really.
Yeah. Quinn's asking with your artists, internal artists. He's asking, like, is it Bogota, Cartagena, Cali, Medellin, Barranquilla? He's asking, like, where is he from in Colombia? And if you want to say that, that's fine. If that's
I couldn't actually tell you, but if you want to look him up on Facebook, Carlos Granda, or it's Granda Carlos is the way his name's displayed on that. You can find him there and answer your questions and check out loads of his art. He's a great artist.
All right, that sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for being on here, and I appreciate, like, you chatting with us. I know it's, like, across the globe, and I know, like, we're going, like, you're probably a little bit tired and shit, but thank you for coming up, guys. Please check out his Geek Girl Kickstarter. Fund the shit out of it so that we can go and see the stretch goals there. So you guys have a great day. I didn't do much drawing because I was so engaged in our guests, but you guys take care, and just be sure to just go support the Kickstarter, spread it, whatever. So I'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.